Okay, so I wanted to talk about the Twitlongers that came out because 2 of the 5 tournaments had unbanned them. And I mentioned that very briefly in my last video, but I didn't really go into the specifics of all of the content of those Twitlongers. But today I wanted to do a bit of a dive into them so we can kind of figure out what exactly is happening and where things should go from here. I'm deciding to dive into this myself. I'm not directly working with Arturo on this content right here. The first person to unban Art was Bunch, who runs a tournament called Casa Bunch. Art immediately approved of this Twitlonger, but I saw some glaring problems with it. First off, the Twitlonger opens up by blaming Art for moving the money to his PayPal and calls that mishandling of funds. Now, we've gone through so much work to very clearly clarify what the mishandling of funds was, and it wasn't from moving money to his PayPal, it was late payments, because he had done that for a long time, and we really went through painstakingly clearing it up that wasn't the issue. And then Matcherino themselves said, no, this wasn't a problem to us. We didn't care about it. We flagged his account so that it wouldn't even tell us if he did it because we didn't care. We knew he needed to do this. But he frames that as something that caused harm to the community. I think that was really problematic. It opens up the Twitlonger by saying, Art, you did F up with the improper movement of funds from Matcherino to PayPal. We spoke about this and we both agreed that this is the most important thing that you did to cause harm to the community. It's like almost like the point of me doing these videos whatsoever wasn't even needed. I know that he's watching the videos, but it's just like going in one ear and out the other, and he's not actually paying attention and still framing it in that way. I think that's so problematic. Of all the people to be directly invested in finding out what exactly is going on, the people who banned him, who claim they were the most impacted, should be the ones. But then you're watching and you still don't come to the correct conclusion? What is that? But then another part that I saw a really big problem with. He says, since this is the only thing that I see an issue with and no other member of the Casa Bunch staff or outside sources deal with the financial portions of my events, I do not see a ban on Arturo Sanchez to be necessary moving forward. This, again, is a really big problem because while it's great to hear that you don't see it necessary for a ban to be happening moving forward, it indicates you didn't learn the lesson. Because the real lesson here is a lesson that ECT says, which I will go over later. You didn't need to ban him in the first place, and that's where the problem came in. You acted too hastily, you didn't wait for him to give clarification, you banned him preemptively, which obviously is problematic. Guilty until proven innocent is not the standard, and we shouldn't operate that way. That's the lesson to learn. Not, you know what, moving forward, we don't need to ban him. No. You shouldn't have banned him in the first place. It was never an issue of stealing, which was your reason for banning him because you thought he stole. That's the problem. Then he says, next up, I want to address my fellow tournament organizers. If you work with Art during any of these events where Art mismanaged funds, and it's like, wait. Again, you still think mismanaging funds is him putting the money in his PayPal, which we all know all these different organizers were doing for all of these various reasons. Like, please stop. Like, at least update yourself on what the actual problem is, or you didn't learn a thing. He went on to talk about Sermi, who was an employee at Matcherino. And Sermi was one of those people that apparently claims that he's been getting death threats and things like that, which, if that's true, it's really terrible. We all know that there's no reason for anyone to go around doing death threats or even harassing people. Like, freak out of here. We know better than all that kind of energy. And the thing is, Twitter is Twitter. The same people who were sending death threats to Art and same people who were like threatening legal, like that they were going to go to the police on Art, those same people are going to send death threats once they realize that they're wrong. And I think in these sorts of situations, when people do that, then a lot of times they want to try to find another person to attack, which is why a lot of people will start attacking me. Now that they realize, like, oh, Art wasn't the bad guy that we thought he is. Let's try to find a way of attacking Fanatiq. That's like what they're going to do. And some of these people instead will attack Sermi or anyone else at Matcherino, which is obviously a terrible thing to do. But this is where the most tone-deaf, disgusting portion of this entire Twitlonger is. When he makes the statement at the end and says, "You aren't paid enough, Scott." Now, I don't have to explain it to most of you, because I think most of you guys are smart. But have I not been talking about the fact that so many of these people are ignoring the fact that Arturo wasn't paid for almost a year while working for Matcherino? If somebody wasn't paid enough, it's Art. I get you feel endeared towards, you know, Sermi for working with you and helping you and talking to you and taking some of your recommendations. That's fine and dandy. But you know who Art was. That's siding with the corporation over the community. This cannot be. You can't claim grassroots while simultaneously siding with the corporations over the grassroots frontrunners. Come on, man. Why is everyone so afraid to mention that? Why does no one want to focus on that? Now that we know he's innocent, then that means, man, this dude really got taken for a freaking ride. Shout out to MVC2. Come on, man. It's tone deaf to me. Then let's go to EC Throwdown. EC Throwdown did a Twitlonger as well. Theirs came after Bunch's, and I think that there's some even greater problems here. Listen to this. I'm just gonna read it verbatim. Arturo and the ECT team have had a long-standing working relationship spanning a decade. We had considered him a core part of ECT's output from a live stream perspective. That means Arturo had streamed for you guys for 10 years. Art was the one who had been running their Matcherinos. In 2016, for ECT, Art was part of one of the pivotal people where they beta tested Matcherino for the very first time, and they raised $10,000 with Daigo coming in all of that. Think about this. This is the guy that's been working with you for all of this time. And then it goes on to say something else. Moreover, each and every person on this team has known Arturo on a personal level for quite some time, almost 25 years for some members. You knew a guy that worked with you for 10 years, and you guys had a relationship with him for 25 years. Like, what? And you just immediately throw him under the bus? You don't hear his side? Listen, that is more of a reason why you would need to treat this person fairly. I didn't know him. I did not know Arturo personally at all. And I took the time to listen patiently, to gather information objectively, so that I can come to a mostly correct opinion about what was going on. Then I took the time to reach out to him and get a more concise story. How much more was ECT responsible to get that information correctly? Of all people, they should do that. Man, and here's another, it gets worse. To set the record straight, ECT Matcherino campaigns were never affected by Arturo. So that means that, he never did anything foul. Come on, man. Then they say, in hindsight, we acted too swiftly to set a tone and example that this kind of conduct had no place at our events. For this, we apologize to Arturo for being too aggressive in that decision. Well, I mean, and that's cool to admit that. At least they're admitting where they were wrong. Bunch couldn't do that. He didn't do that. It's crazy. Imagine having a guy stream for you, run your Matcherinos, do all of this work for 10 years, to know him for 25, and then to not even hear his side of the story and contact him directly, and then to ban him unnecessarily. What is loyalty these days? Now I get why people were attacking my relationship with Low Tier God, because people expect me to just immediately turn on a guy who had been my friend since I was a young child. We became closer at 15, but I knew him when I was 11. I'm not gonna do that. But now I get why it's ooh, this is a good place to hit him on. You don't hurt me there. You point out that, I'm a guy that's loyal. It goes on to say Arturo will be allowed to compete, but an indefinite ban will stay in place regarding live stream services or any other form of paid positions at ECT. That's not called a ban, that's just called not hiring. The fact that you made a mistake while banning him and then want to continue to use the phrase banning and holding on to bans, it just shows maybe you didn't fully learn the lesson either. And it goes on to say, this is a discussion our team has discussed with Arturo, and he mutually agrees with our decision. Arturo's his own man, and he can make those choices. I'm expressing my views. I'm saying that this seems completely ridiculous. I could see someone telling me, hey, look, bro, I didn't like such and such, and I'm not gonna work with you for the next one. And it's okay, you didn't like all 10 years? Because I worked for you for 10 years. So for the entire 10-year process, you didn't like it? Or was it just this last year? Or what exactly is the issue here? I gotta find that out. But again, Arturo's his own man. The thing is that these people all work together. The tournament organizers, it's not like they're working in isolation and just decide on their own, like, oh, I'm just gonna ban him. They talk collectively and decide, hey, you know, are we moving forward with this ban? Should we unban this person? Like, it's a group effort. It's not like they come to these decisions by themselves. Evidence of this group effort is Bunch is a helper at the online local. So remember, 5 events banned him. And this is indicated even in the Twitlonger. Think about it. They said, we felt someone that had such a strong affiliation with our event, not to mention the whole Northeast region, needed to be held accountable. So they look at themselves regionally, they interact regionally, they work together. Bunch's bio on his Twitter page says, Casa Bunch creator and at the online local helper, which means that he has some influence with the online local. The online local is one of the 5 people that banned him. Again, those people were the online local, Battle for the Bruce Lee, Butler's Revenge, ECT, and Casa Bunch. So that means now Bunch recognizes that he shouldn't have been banned. So then that means, why aren't you influencing the online local to unban him as well? So if you two can see that you shouldn't have banned him, then that means that the other 3 should be able to see this. And you guys are all a region. You guys all talk to each other. You guys should be making these statements. Now, Butler's Revenge has the time to talk to me and say, oh, you're making a video about me? Let me tell you about the things I want to show, like getting silly about it. But I felt like for him, it would make the most sense to just show you his Twitter profile so we can understand exactly what type of person we're dealing with here. OG Fight Boy. Okay, we love us some fighting games. Alcoholic. Leftoid. Okay. Queer. No problem there. Slut. Toxic as freak. So at this point now, we know the type of guy that we're dealing with here. That explains why he wouldn't unban Arturo. He's just wanting to revel in the drama. Now, Arturo probably never entered any of his events, probably never intended to. He just wanted to pile on. But that's an ongoing attack. You see, what actually encourages people to start canceling and sending all of these harmful messages to Arturo is all of the people working together to ban him. So then that means that Butler is boosting that signal of the harm towards Arturo, and to not rescind that attack is an ongoing attack. So if I was Arturo in this situation, I would continue defending myself. I would sit there and say, there's no possible way you can ask me to stop defending myself while I'm still being attacked. So for the people that are saying, you know, man, just put this behind you, just let it go. I can't, because there are still people actively attacking me. The signal needs to be clear and wide. Hey, we were wrong and we're going to learn from the situation, which is what everyone was asking ECT to do in their threads. I don't believe in harassing people, but I don't consider that harassment to tell them you shouldn't have banned him in the first place. This was wrong. Unless you guys are willing to admit that it was harassment for people to start accusing Art of stealing based off of these erroneous Twitlongers and Twitter spaces that D-Nice and Bifuteki did. I don't think it's wrong. It's the same way that we tell you, hey, call your congressman or call your senator or call your assemblyman and tell them how you feel about this bill. That's not harassment. If you're part of their constituency, you owe it to yourself and to your community to hold these people accountable and to let them know how you feel. That's not harassment. Now, threatening them, trying to be violent with them, that's harassment. Boycotting is not harassment. Telling people to continue to work with these people is a slight on our community, and I feel that that's despicable and I wouldn't work with you, is not harassment. With all that being said, we still need Battle for the Bruce Lee, Butler's Revenge, and the online local to unban Arturo. And we need the people who did the ban to be unequivocal and that they made a mistake when they banned him. Shoutouts to Bunch for putting the blame on everyone else but himself.